Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and we are back and it is time for the Franchise Cup, a pre-season sort of one-sort tournament that is going to be used for the Rainbow Cup teams to kind of sort of sort their squads out ahead of their participation in the Rainbow Cup in April, as well as another opportunity for the likes of the Cheetahs, Griquas, Pumas, and now the EP Elephants to actually get some rugby under their belt and to try and build towards whatever the 2021 season is going to be, whatever structure SA Rugby is going to have in the next coming years. Because I think we underestimate just how big this move to the Rainbow Cup is in terms of scheduling, in terms of how the Currie Cup's going to work in the future. And we're set for a major revamp within SA Rugby. Before we go any further, please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right corner there, smash a like as well. We have hit 1,000 subscribers less than a year after starting, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you very much to everyone who has shown their support. Please do continue smashing that like button and clicking the subscribe button if you are new. Right, so this weekend we have got some very interesting matches, and I think the biggest thing is when we head into this tournament is that it is a pre-season tournament. As such, expect to see a lot of changes, a lot of different positional changes as coaches, more so the Rainbow Cup teams really, but even the other sides as well, sort of trying to mold their side and try and almost gauge where they are as a union or as a side, much more so than you can in the Currie Cup Super Rugby, where you are playing for trophies and stuff like that. This is much more an opportunity for teams to really, if they've ever wanted to experiment, this is it's quite a long preseason really, so it's a very nice opportunity after what was a very long and very uncertain time last year during the COVID-19 pandemic, during the stricter lockdowns. Now that we have rugby back on our fields, with so many players leaving and moving across to unions, and now is a really nice time for unions to consolidate their sides and decide where they are, where they need to be, what they need in terms of the players' acquisitions and all that type of thing. So expect a lot of rotation and a lot of different teams throughout the tournament, and that sort of shows. I think the Lions and the Stormers both announced their sides, very much second string sides, trying to sort of gauge their depth, trying to give players a run and trying to decide, can we back the youth in certain positions? Do we potentially need to go into the market and try and look at bringing players from either unions or from overseas, and the likes? But in terms of the weekend's fixtures this weekend, we have the Lions versus the Pumas on Friday at 7 o'clock in Johannesburg. The Stormers will then take on the Cheetahs at Cape Town Stadium. The first match the Stormers will be playing at their new venue, having left Newlands, which, look, I'm going to be biased because I never even managed to get to Newlands. But from the people I've spoken to, I think if you're not a Western Province fan and you don't have that sort of connection to the stadium, they were saying as a stadium, it's you can see it's quite old. The time has run, and when you've got a world-class facility like the Cape Town Stadium, a stone's throw away, it's just made so much more sense. The entire stadium itself, Cape Town Stadium, we've seen it in the sevens. It's a gorgeous stadium. It's a beautiful facility, and if we want to try and sort of regress and become this really sort of professional looking union, it just made sense, unfortunately, at the end of the day. Hopefully the Western Province can continue to try and sort out the bordering politics which continue to hamper the union itself. But yes, they will have their debut 5:15 on Saturday against the Cheetahs at the Cape Town Stadium. Sunday we will see Bulls take on the EP Elephants under the tutelage of ex-Springbok coach Peter de Villiers, who has said that he reckons he actually has one or two Springboks in his side, future Springboks. So he's really backing his talent and the teams that he has to sort of work with. And I think he wants to try and build. It's been so frustrating, and I think everyone will sort of agree. The Eastern Cape has got so many good rugby players. Look at the Sharks. Sharks put an academy at the moment of the Eastern Cape. There's so much talent in the Eastern Cape that the fact that due to poor administration there's just no side is just not acceptable. And this needs to be a dawn of a new beginning for the Eastern Cape, and they've gone back to being a sort of the EP Elephants sort of traditional side, and hopefully they can start, really improving, bringing some players and just keeping the players. There's so much rugby talent in the Eastern Cape. You've got 4 sides playing varsity rugby, 2 sides usually in the varsity cup, and Walter Sue has really come a long way lately, and NMU's usually a varsity cup regular. And then you've got the likes of Rhodes and Forte. You've got lots of good schools across the country. You've got your St Andrews, you've got your Grey. There's just lots of rugby talent across the Eastern Cape. It's a province that loves the game. So if they can just get it right, there's no reason why they cannot also become a powerhouse within SA Rugby. The last game of the weekend will be the Sharks versus the Tafellaga Griquas. But as I said, mostly it is sort of second string sides for the Rainbow Cup, as I think that they're looking at sort of conditioning their main sides and making sure that they are going through a really sort of grueling pre-season, trying to get up to scratch, whilst looking at the other members of the squad and maybe sort of deciding who they can put their faith in, who they need to bring in, what needs to be the sort of the transfer strategy as we move into literally about just under 2 months until the Rainbow Cup kicks off. So it should be a really interesting tournament. I don't think we're necessarily going to see the best rugby. Some interesting initiatives by SA Rugby to try and speed up the game. They've implemented a couple of things as part of Mercy Rasmus saying that we want to see less out of ball play, which is completely ball out of play. Which is completely warranted. I mean, we were saying during the entire Currie Cup and the Super Rugby, we just didn't feel like we were seeing enough rugby during the sort of 80 minutes, which was very frustrating. There's been a couple of changes. It's gonna, restart kicks for either the halfway line or the 22 have to be taken within 30 seconds. When the referee is given a mark at a scrum, it has to be ready for crouch within 30 seconds. There's going to be a clock now displayed for the goal kicking for penalties and conversions. And Supersport's also promising a whole bunch of different sort of aspects to the game. They want to have on pitch side commentary, comments from the coach's box during the game. Apparently a whole new sort of broadcast experience, which I think is all trying to build up towards taking the next step. And the fact that I think we've been a little bit sedentary in terms of not adapting the game and not trying to innovate enough. I think this is a sort of step toward making sure the on-field product is much better in the start in terms of more rugby so we're getting more bang for the buck, if you would like. But also, I think we're broadcasting also trying to sort of take a step up and trying to sort of make it much more of a 21st sort of very up to date, very new age production, which is going to be really cool to see because I think when we move towards the Rainbow Cup and we're going to have teams coming down here, and we're going to start having a European market. We really need to try and up our game as SA Rugby and try and make sure that whatever sort of the cutting edge is of rugby broadcasting and rugby playing and the game and everything and the entire sort of production, we need to be at the forefront of that because that is how we're going to grow our game the most in the country. Let me know what you think was going to happen in the Franchise Cup. As a fan, I'm not too worried about results. I want to see players getting a chance. I want to see how teams are starting to sort of mold themselves and find their way ahead of the tournament. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the EP Elephants do. It's just going to be an interesting tournament, another tournament of learning. And I think when we get to April in the Rainbow Cup, hopefully then we can say, right, there's no excuses now. Every team needs to be up to scratch. Every team needs to be playing, good rugby for 80 minutes week in, week out, and they can't blame, COVID-19 and the interruptions they've had anymore because now we have a proper preseason and be in as prepared as you can. Please do smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. We'll be back with some Six Nations coverage as well as the Franchise coverage. Unfortunately, no watch-alongs this weekend, but we will be back with all that sort of thing next weekend. So make sure you keep it locked on Forever Sports, and we'll check to you very soon. My name is Stephen, and thank you very much for watching.